Hey guys, and welcome back. I've got a super interesting video for you today. How to use your QlikSense connected to ChatGPT and send your data and ask questions to ChatGPT directly through your Qlik script. Super cool, right? The things that you can do with an integration with AI is just mind-boggling. I know Qlik is working on some stuff, but I have some really cool scripts for you guys. This is what we're going to do. I have a question here that is my prompt, and I'm sending it to ChatGPT through an API, and I'm gonna ask it to give me some feedback on the data that I'm sending it in. Pretty cool, right? Now, when I look here, the data has been analyzed by ChatGPT, and it's giving me the answers. Now, it's not always correct because this depends on the AI itself. Okay, but yeah, if you want to learn how to do it, let's do it from scratch. It'll be really, really cool. Yep, stick around. Let's do it. Let me start a completely new app, our ChatGPT app. Good. Let's add some sections. So there are several different models that you could choose from. You should go into the OpenAI website and read up about it. Just go into platform.openai.com and go into models, and they tell you what the different models do, how much they cost to use. And I know you're thinking like, oh, but ChatGPT is free. Why not use it? Trust me, using APIs is so much better. It's much faster. It's actually not that expensive. We're going to use this one here. So V1 completions, that is the Text-Da-Vinvi-003. It's really good for completions. That is basically you send in a prompt and you get a request or a response from ChatGPT. And if you go here, they also tell you GPT 3.5 Turbo, most capable GPT 3.5 model and optimized for chat with 1/10 the cost of DaVinci. So we're going to use DaVinci right now, but GPT 3.5 Turbo is super cheap and much more optimized, as they say. I have a link for the script below. Check it out. So you could just download the script and use it. Well, in that one, I'm going to connect it to GPT 3.5 Turbo, which is going to give you, it's going to be much faster, super cheap, and much better actually. And I'll show you that later on. But now let's use Text-Da-Vinci because it's much easier. The script is a little bit easier. And here it says we recommend using 3.5 Turbo over the other models because of its lower cost. Good. So let's start. Right. All right. First, let's get our data in. Okay. So I'm gonna go here. I have some CSV files which has the data. So I'm gonna put it here, and over here I have sales in one table and I have products, that is the product name, in another table. It would be cool to actually merge two tables, right? And see how ChatGPT interprets the data. So I'm gonna say insert, and now I have these two tables. If you just want to test it out, well, what you could also do is just do an inline. That is, instead of this, you could say inline load and put in the same data that you have in an inline load and send it to ChatGPT. But instead, I'm going to load my data from an Excel file here. Let's give the name. Well, we want to make it into one single table. That's the easiest way to send data to ChatGPT. So one big table with all the information that we want ChatGPT to basically to analyze, right? So I'm gonna instead, now we're gonna create this into one single table. So I'm just gonna create a new. Good. Now I've dropped it, and now I should have one single table. Good. Let's see. And if you go back here, now I have one single table here with the information, right? That is left joined with the product name. If I see here, I should have all of the information required. Fantastic. Now I can prepare this table to send it into ChatGPT. That is basically, so here, if I go into API references, completions, and create completion, over there they tell me actually what do I need to do to send in the prompt and send in the data. What they tell me is that it needs to be in JSON format. So let's look. So the data that I'm sending in should be in a JSON format. So I need to convert my data into a JSON format in order to be able to first send it in. Okay. So now I have this table. Let's go back and try to fix our table into a JSON format. And how do we do that? So I'm just going to give this is my input. I'm going to call this my JSON load. And here I want to load everything that's in my resident table called input table. Now let's convert our input data into JSON format. So I'm going to put orders. So let's have a look at what the JSON format for a data set looks like, first of all. So this is how the format should look like. That is, you have these curly braces, you have a table name, and then you have column name and the data under it. And it's all separated by these curly braces. So just Google how a JSON format should look like. And we're going to do a small step of it over here so that we convert all our data form or our table into a JSON format. So here I'm going to say, I want this to be a string. So orders, I'm going to give that a name. And then I need to open kid and I say, and then I'm going to concatenate my tables, right? So I'm going to say concat. And again, this is going to be a string. So hang with me. It can be a little bit tricky, right? That's why, yeah, just get my script. And then you do, you give a name for the particular column. That is, I'm going to say order state. And the order state is going to be, well, what is my order state? It's essentially my column here, right? Or sorry, from my single table, that is the column here. So I say, and just concatenate my order value. So that's essentially what it's saying. So now I'm giving the name, that is name of my column, and then this is the value, right? And the value essentially comes, so you have over here, you have the attribute name, you have the value. So the value, I'm just bringing it from my tables, that is the column names. So over here, it is order date, good. And then I say, then I want the next one. What is the next one? Well, I'm going to, so even the next one has to be a string because it's a comma here, right? So it's separated by a comma. So this is also a string that I want it to be in. And so essentially, I'm just converting how the data has to be sent into ChatGPT because there's a specific, this is how ChatGPT wants the data to come in, right? So we need to convert our data set into the exact same format so that ChatGPT can understand, oh, okay, this is the data set and I need to analyze it this way. So we're just doing that. Now let's go here. Then I have, so now when we load it, I see that we're sending it in the exact format that we want. Okay, so now what are we going to do? Well, you have prepared your data, and along with your prompt, which we're going to write soon, what you're going to do is basically you're going to speak to QlikSense. QlikSense. Well, QlikSense is going to speak to ChatGPT, right? It's going to speak to ChatGPT and say, hey, you know what? This is the data. This is the prompt. Give me an answer, and then I'm going to bring it back to QlikSense so that you can see it. So first, we're going to create a connection that is going to talk to ChatGPT. So let's go here, create a connection. Let's go into an API, and the API we are using is a REST API. This is what we usually use to interact with other applications, just like ChatGPT. And here we have REST API. We have a URL that we need to put in. So now I'm going to go back into platform.openai. If you haven't created an account, create an account here. And once you create an account, you can go here and you see that you can manage your account, you know your usage, how much you're using. You can set limits as to, um, how many tokens you want to use and just the money, how much of money you're willing to spend. And you have something called API keys here. So you need to create an API key and give authorization for QlikSense to be able to talk to ChatGPT. And trust me, when you log in, it's super simple. Everything is given pretty in depth over here. Like you have an API reference and they tell you. And it's actually not that expensive. I think they also give you like $18 free, and you have like 3 months to use that from the time you sign up. So if you sign up now, make use of it. Otherwise, yeah, you can buy some tokens. It's not that expensive at all, um, as long as you're not sending in like shit ton of data. What you're going to do here is you're going to create an account first, and then we are going to go into our API reference. And what model are we using? Well, right now, I want to use the DaVinci model, right? So if I go into models over here and there's overview, it tells you the different models and what is the endpoint that I have to use. So over here, I'm going to use Text-Da-Vinvi-003, right? So for that, the endpoint is V1 completion. And if I go into my API reference and I see what is completions, well, here is Text-Da-Vinci 003, great. And my login here, curl, is https api.openai.com v1 completions, right? So that's what they're telling me. The endpoint is v1 completions. When we use GPT 3.5 Turbo later on, which is much cheaper and better, we're going to use v1 slash chat forward slash completions. Okay, so now this time it is v1 completions, just as they give you. I mean, it's super simple because they've already given you everything here, and you could change in if you're using Python how it should be. If you're using a REST API here, it is this one. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to go back here. And what is the URL? Well, it is this one here, method. Well, post, because I'm posting something there, right? What is the request body? Um, Request body is, well, we can go back to our reference, and here we can say, well, the what I want is I want to try to test it out first. Okay, so I'm going to send in this as my request body. Later on, we're going to write it in the script. So here, just to test, I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So we are saying this is the format that ChatGPT wants us to send a prompt. That is, when we're using this API, we are telling ChatGPT, hey, this is the JSON format again, if you remember, stupid curly braces. We're telling it, hey, you know what? The model that I'm using is this. Prompt is, right now, this is just a test. The maximum number of tokens I want you to use is 7. Temperature is 0. What the hell is temperature? Well, I think temperature has something to do with, let's go back here and over here. If you read here, these are the different things that you can actually send in. That is temperature, what sampling temperature to use between 0 and 2. Higher values like 0.8 will make the output more random, while lower values will make it more focused and deterministic. So temperature is basically you're telling, if you send the same prompt 2 times, if you want ChatGPT to give you the exact same answer, and it should not vary, then you want to reduce the temperature. Otherwise, you could use a higher temperature. Read up on it. Okay. You know what? I'm no AI expert. I'm just learning it just as you are. Um, Read up on it. It's super interesting, super fun. And man, I freaking love it. I freaking love it. I swear to God, I haven't been this excited in so long, just reading all the articles, checking it out, trying different things in Python. And I'm trying to do it in Qlik as well. And it's just so much fun. Trust me, guys, you're going to have so much fun. Just log into this platform.openai, and now this is what we wanted. That is, this is this is a test, blah, blah, blah. These are the parameters. I can actually just copy this one. And let's go back here. Let's paste this here. And it tells you this is a test. Good. After that, we want to go back here. You want authentication. And now we need to authenticate it by some way, right? Over here. Let's go back. What do they say? How do they want me to authenticate? Oh, let's see here. Right. So they're telling me content type should be application JSON. Okay. So I'm going to copy this content type, paste it here, and they want this one to be called application / JSON. Good. The value is this. Then I'm going to add one more because over here they're also telling me authorization is authorization, and I'm going to give this the name authorization. And over here, what do they want this? They want bearer and $OpenAI API key. So they're telling me type bearer. So bearer of, who is the bearer? Well, that is my application key. So here, like I was telling you before, we need to go back into our key. I'm going to create a new key, click test, do not copy. Yeah, so guys, don't copy my secret key, okay, please. Can I trust you with that? Okay, so done. Now I've copied this, I've created one. I'm copying this. So when I use this, this has never been used. So essentially when I use this, the way that ChatGPT or OpenAI authenticates that it's me is because this secret key. Nobody else knows it, only I know it. And I'm pasting my secret key over here with authorization, bearer, and my secret key, just as they told me over here. So they're saying authorization bearer with my open key. Good, I've done that. Type authorization. Right, this has to be a header. I think I made a mistake here. Query parameters, right? It should be query headers. So under my query headers, I should put in the content type that I'm looking for, that is application JSON, and my authorization. These two are headers. I made a mistake there. So let me correct it. Let's change that. I'll put that here. And let's remove it from here. Let's put it here. And now I'm going to add one more here, authorization. And I'm going to put authorization here and this one over here. So later on, I'm going to use with connection, but not right now. I've pasted my request body here, and now let's connect. Now I have my query headers in place instead of parameters. That was a mistake I made. Query parameters, and now let's test it. Connection succeeded. Booyah! All right, now let's go back to our API. So here we had created an API, right? Where was it? Oh, here we had click test do not copy, never used. Now if I refresh it, it should have been used now. Yes, it's used, right? So it was used today. Fantastic. Close. So now this connection that we made is actually working. Fantastic. Now I'm going to say allow with connection because later on I'm going to put a with connection here. Okay. And now I have the name. Good. Let's just test connection again. Done. And now I'm going to say create. And when I say create, now I have this REST click ChatGPT test that I just created. All right. Next. Well, what we want is we want to send in a prompt. So here, if we look in again, so instead of say this is a test, what we're going to do is we're going to tell ChatGPT, hey, I want you to analyze this data and stuff, right? So let's do that. Let's say let you are a data analyst. You will so let's put a trace. V prompt is equal to, you know how to do it. It is a dollar expansion. So I say dollar expand it. Next, we need a request body. So what is the request body here? So the request body, as we saw here, is model, prompt, and token, right? Just as as they have mentioned over here. So this is the request body that they're actually expecting from us. Go back here and I'm going to say let kid done. Now the prompt here, this is a test. Well, we have a different prompt, that is, we have this. So here, instead of this is a test, I can say this one is nothing but $expand the prompt that we put in. Paste this, and we're going to add our source. That is, source is nothing but our input data, right? So we're going to say source. And what is the input data? Along with the prompt, we are saying the following data. So you will summarize the following data, and I want to input the following data. What is our data? Our data is actually stored in this variable now because we converted it into JSON and now we have stored it into this particular variable, right? That is called we input data. So let's add our source input data there. So dollar done. So exactly like how they're asking us to do here, where this is what the parameters that we're going to send it in. There's one issue here. The issue is that what ChatGPT expects from us is a double quote here, right? But since we are sending this as a string in a variable, the way Qlik interprets double quotes is not exactly as a double quote here, right? So what we need to do is we need to put in the character format of it instead. And the character format for it is character 34. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, we're just going to update this one, our variable, every time we request body is equal to 34. Now we need to, so if you run it again, you will see that each double quote is replaced by, so here now single double quote is replaced by two, and now you're actually sending in this particular value into ChatGPT. Nice, we're almost there. We're almost there. Well, we're going to go back here and we're going to say with. So we have to tick this one, allow with connection. And let's go back. Oh, not this. This was what I created. So let's go back into the table. And over here, I've clicked on root. Now, if I see choices, here you have text, index, root key. And if I click on usage, I have prompt tokens, completion tokens, total tokens, key root. Okay, and I'm just going to insert both of these into my script. So I'm going to say insert script. So now the script has been inserted. This is basically the response. So every time I send this prompt and my data into ChatGPT, the response that I get from ChatGPT is this. So first, connecting to my API. The API is here. So Qlik is going to talk to the API. When you talk to the API, it knows which URL to connect to and what is the authentication, what is the application. It also knows this is a post method, that is, it is sending in the data along with my credentials to authenticate it, and then it brings back the answers. And the answers that you bring back is in this particular format. So this is what you get. Let's go back into our API reference here, and they tell you this is the response when you send in these parameters with these particular authentications. This is the response that you can actually expect from ChatGPT. And your reply is inside this text, right? Inside text, it says this is the response. So you want to save it. And it's, well, Qlik makes it super simple because it's already parsing all the data that we have here, right? So how do we, let's just make it a little bit better. So inside choices, text, the column called text, this is our response, right? Because if we see here, let's go back here, text, this one is what contains our answer. So what I'm going to do is let's create a single table. Let's call it GPT response. And inside GPT response, let's say, let's remove this table name. GPT response, this is the text. I'm going to name this as response from GPT. Index, we are not really interested. Finish reason, we're not really interested. Need this? No, we don't. I'm going to remove this. Let's see. Now we have our table here. We have our data here. We have stored the data. We are writing our prompt over here. And then we are saving the prompt into a variable. And then we have our request body here where we are telling which model to use. Right now we're using DaVinci. DaVinci expects us to send in a prompt, and we're sending the prompt here. We are inputting the data here. Since this is sent in as a string which is stored in a variable, we need to convert this string into like the actual double quotes. So I'm putting characters. Then I'm connecting to my API here. So library connect to this particular API, which has my credentials, which has the URL that it's supposed to go to, and it's got the authorization bearer / my key, and this is the reply that I expect back. I'm saving that into a table called GPT response. The answer is inside a column called text. That's what it is. Let's see if it loads. But we got the answer back. Right? So we need to replace the test input that we put in our while we're creating the connection to our with connection. And the with connection here, how do we do it? Super simple, right? We're just going to say, hey, with connection, and we're going to say it's nothing but our request body, right? This variable contains all the things that we need to send it in, including our prompt that is here and our input, dollar, and I'm going to put in my variable. So I'm going to connect it and send in my request body, and my request body contains my prompt and my data, some other information that ChatGPT needs in order to analyze it. Now let's say load. Let's go to our front end. Let's go to charts. Let's go to this one here, text and image. Let's go back here. And here I'm going to say this is nothing but, so let's go back here. Let's go into this, and here I'm going to say, what did we save it as? Response, GPT response. This is a measure, so I'm going to say only so that I can put the measure into only response, and I click on apply. Huh, this is strange. It's stuck in the middle. Why is that? Let's do something else. Let's go back here and let's see how many tokens total is apply. 233. Okay. And completion tokens is, well, 7. Why is that? Because if you go back here, you know that max tokens is 7. That's why we've only sent in half of it, and we haven't really received all the things back. So I'm just going to increase this. Let's say I want, let's say 200 tokens here. So now I'll click on apply, and hopefully now all the data has been sent in, or I think the data is sent in, but we're just not receiving everything because I've told them not to use more than 7 tokens. And now let's go back here. Great. Now we have found the reply here. ChatGPT has actually sent in January product B, how much? February product B, how much? So this is our reply from ChatGPT, right? Now let's copy this. And here, let's say what was our prompt. That is, I'm going to go back here and say the prompt that I sent in. This was the reply from GPT. And the third one over here, I just want to know what my cost is. So let's go back here, and you remember we calculated the cost. It was cost per request. That's it. Now you are talking to ChatGPT because it's summarized the data and has given you the answer. Product B, and the best product is product B. The best selling month is January with a total of 1150. And if you remember, we haven't sent Jan, Feb, March. So let's see what is it that we actually sent. So I'm going to pull in a bar chart here. And over here, I'm going to say, what was it? My order date, right? And over here, I'm going to say amount, right? So let's put in sum of amount. group it by products. So product A, product B. I want to know the values. So let's go back here and say I want the values. So now we have this. Let's go back into order, and here let's say month start. We're gonna, summarize it per month. So here we're gonna say date year dash. Good. This is how I want my summarization to be. So it becomes a little bit easier for me to see what's going on. I want to go into numbers, and this number I want it to be a number. January is 1150 for product B. You see that here. Product A is 420. This is wrong. Okay, interesting. So ChatGPT actually makes a mistake. It's saying this is 420, but it's actually just 120. Interesting. Let's see if the others are right. February, that is, we have February here. 200. That's correct. And because this table is coming from Qlik, right? If you see here, I mean, I still have the data here. So I'm just loading everything from my input table. So this data is the Qlik table, and this is the answer from ChatGPT. Let's make a small change. Let's see if we could give it a specific instruction. So let's say over here, let's go back, and over here, let's say first say hi think metrics fans. All right, let's just see what happens. I'm gonna run it. So now the reply from chat, hi, hello, think metrics. It's awesome, right? I mean, now you're really interacting with it, and you see, and it tells you this is one. Oh, now it's got it right. Product A is 120, product B is 1150, 200, 200, 300, 250. That's correct. 300, 250, right? Best selling month is January with a total of 1270. So 1150 plus 12 is 1270. That's exactly right. And our best product is product B with the total sales of 1750. Interesting, very interesting. So if we copy this, paste it here, and let's make this into a table, convert to a table. Now, if I just select product B, the total is 2100, but for some reason it thinks that this is 1750. And if I change it to A, 770. So it's right that product B is much better for us, but for some reason it doesn't really understand that. Oh, so it makes a small mistake here. Well, these are large language models, but you see that you're interacting. That's why it said, hi, hello, think metrics fan, because I changed my prompt to first say, hi, hello, think metrics fans, right? So this is what you could do, right? I'm going to use a much more powerful model, and that is the 3.5. It's much cheaper. That is, since this is 0.07, that one's going to be 10 times cheaper. So it's 0.0007. Yeah, check out the link below. I hope you really like this. This is freaking awesome that you're able to do so many things with it. Let me just make one last change and say, then I'm not going to tell you what I wrote. Hello, Think Matrix fan. This is the sales, your summary of your data. You know what it says? ChatGPT is actually telling you, and it says, don't forget to subscribe to Think Metrics and check out the links below. I forgot to say, please leave a like, but please leave a like, check out the links. And I hope you had so much fun, as much as I did, trying to get this thing to work. Peace. Have a good one. Enjoy.